Let's take a look at animating an escalator. Well, the steps, the stairs on an escalator work pretty much the same way a tank tread would work. So we're going to move faster through that because you can watch the video that shows how to set up the tank treads. But you'll see a little bit of it here. But if you want it in full detail, you'll want to watch the tank treads video. But so let's focus on this railing, the handrail that's a belt that goes all the way around and then back around to here. So that if we want to have a texture, I hate when there's a piece of bubble gum on the handrail. It's pretty bad. But that piece of bubble gum would carry all the way up here. So we can't do the morph trick, the same morph trick that we use for the steps that you'll see. We'll have to come up with a different way. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in. I've already built the steps, but you'll see how to set it up in layout for animation. So let's go ahead and close that down, and here are the steps. And just as a reminder of how the tank treads or these stairs could work, one way of doing it is to build a morph where each step moves to a new location, and then we'll repeat that and it'll look like the steps are moving up. Okay, let's go ahead and go to 4 windows, and what we want is the handrail that will be on either side. Okay, so I'll go into layer 2, put layer 1 into the background, and then I'm going to build the rail. We're going to use rail extrude to build it, so I'm going to go ahead and build some points. So to do that, I'm going to go over to disk, and I'm just going to make some points that I can use as a starting point. Okay, and I'm just going to close that down a little bit. Let's just say here. And then I'm going to right click to commit and then left click to drag the exact same shape. It doesn't have to be the same shape, but I'll go ahead and make it the same shape. And then we'll put that, say, right here. I'm going to hit K for kill polys, and then what it does is it removes the polygon but leaves the points. And I'll get rid of these points, and I'll get rid of these points. I'm going to grab this point and copy paste and move, copy paste and move, and then copy paste, and I'm just going to put one real close. That's going to help keep the shape that I want. Copy paste, move, copy paste, move, and copy paste and move. Let's just select these as if we're connecting the dots. We want to select them in order. And Control P. So there's our spline. You can kind of see it's the basic shape. The handrail will come up and around, go flat a little bit because the steps are flat, and then go up, flat a little bit, and then around. And if we wanted it to be like the real thing, we could have it connect all the way around. Let's just take a quick look. Actually, there's a better image, but this shows you how the belt works. So the belt goes all the way around, okay? But all we're going to see is what's on the outside, what you would actually see in the real world, because the rest is hidden by walls and structure. So now that we have that, let's go into layer 3, and we're going to create the geometry that will become our rail. So for this, I'm just going to use a flat box. Now you could build a much more complicated shape and it would still work. Okay, but let's just, for now, I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to copy it and paste it into layer 4 just so I have that as well. Okay, and we're going to rail extrude. So I have my flat poly in the foreground, and in the background I have my spline. So I'm going to come over to multiply, and you want to make sure that that flat poly is starting where the first point on your spline is, where the head of your spline is. So rail extrude, and let's just try 40. Okay, well that works. Okay, and now what we need to do is build our actual rail. This is just going to be our template rail. So I'm going to come over here, and in layer 5 I'm going to build a new spline. I'm going to put this in the background so it'll give us an idea. Okay, and create, I'm going to use draw spline. I'm going to start here and end here. It's going to be a really simple spline, just 2 points. Okay, let's grab our actual rail, which is just this flat poly right now, put it at the head of the spline. I'm going to flip those polygons, and then let's rail extrude that. So I'm going to use the same settings. So multiply, rail extrude, 40, okay? And if we look, it looks like just a flat box, but it's got lots of segments, okay? So we have this one and this one. Let's put this in the background, okay? And we'll come over to map, background to morph, and we'll call this handrail. And it morphs into that shape. So if we go to base, it looks like this. And if we go to handrail, it looks like this. So we're pretty much ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and delete all the pieces that we don't need. So this was just a temp piece, so we'll delete that. Come over here and delete that. I'm gonna cut and paste my handrail into layer 2 just to kind of clean it up. So we've got the two pieces that we need. I'm going to save that and I'm going to send it over to layout. Okay, so in layout, let me I'm going to adjust the light just so we can kind of see some shadows and things on here. It'll dress it up a little bit. Okay, and let's go ahead and have the steps start animating, and then we'll get to the handrail. So for the steps, we'll go to Object, Properties, Deform. Let's move over to frame 5, and for Add Displacement, we'll choose Morph Mixer. It's got one morph. We'll go ahead and do 100%. Hit E for envelope for the graph editor. Select that keyframe on frame 5 and set the post behavior to repeat. So it's going to keep, it's going to go move the steps up, then it's going to bring them back down and then move the steps up and keep repeating, which is going to give us the appearance. If we look, it gives us the appearance that those steps are moving up. Okay. Again, if you want it in full detail, check out that tank treads video. Okay, but what about this handrail? Well, it works similar. So what I'm going to do is load up an image to place on here so that we can see what's going on. So I'm just going to grab, let's load an image, and I'm going to grab just this box line image that we used in another video. But you can use whatever image you'd like for this. And let's go over to the surface editor. And unfortunately, I didn't change the surface color on this, so I'm going to hop over to Modeler, just so that it wouldn't hurt, but I want to be able to have the steps different. So this is going to be called Rail, and let's make it black. Okay, and then I'm going to save and synchronize. Don't send object over, just synchronize it. So now it's black. This will work out much better. So I'll go to Rail, and for the texture editor, I'm going to choose the box lines. Okay, and let's invert it so that it's black with white lines. We're going to map it in the Y, and for scale, let's do 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, you see the white line? That's what I want. Okay, and you can get them as tight as you want or as small as you want. Okay, now that I have those on there, I'm going to come over to Object Properties, Deform, Morph Mixer, and I'm going to morph it on frame 0 up into place. Okay, and we're not going to do an envelope on this. There's no reason to. Okay, so if I scrub through, the steps are moving, but the rail isn't moving. I should be able to see those white things moving. Well, how do we go about doing that? Well, if I come over to the surface editor, come back over to where I placed the image, I can come over to position, and I want it to travel down the Z, so let's set an envelope, and let's create a keyframe at the end of our animation just by clicking over here, and then I'm going to move that up. Okay, so I'm moving it in the Z. Okay, and depending on how fast you want it to move will be how high up, how far the image travels. So I'm just going to do this. We can always come back and change it and close this. And now when I scrub through, you can see It's moving really fast. So surface editor, we'll come back over here and let's slow that down some. I'm going to leave the graph editor open so that we can see the speed. Okay, that's much better, but it's still really fast. So let's slow that down. Okay, that works. We could slow it down a little bit more, but you get the idea. So even though this object is not moving, it appears to be moving because the surface is moving on the object. If you didn't want to see a repeating pattern, all you'd have to do is create a really long image with whatever graphic that you want, or graphics if you want multiple nicks or stains or stitches or anything like that. You have it right there. So you can duplicate this object, you can clone it right here in layout, put it on the other side, and you've got the rails set up, and actually they're sitting in the center. So what I need to do is move this over here, and then let's go ahead and clone it, and we'll move that clone over here. Okay, you would want to build some kind of structure around this. You could even build the glass or the plexiglass that goes in between here. You can get as detailed as you want, but there you go. We've got an escalator where the steps are moving and where the rails are actually, it looks like the rails are traveling up in that big loop that they would in the real world. So that's using just a quick morph trick to get the texture to move on a curved shape, even though we started off flat. So you just morph it into the curved shape, and the texture is going to remember that it's on a flat shape, even though you morph it into place. You could also use bones and do the same thing, but I find that the morph trick in this case works much faster than bones.